It occurred to me at some point in the future I might suffer my parents' fate of becoming forgetful, and I took care of Charlie um, for 2 years. He was 97, and he had dementia, and it was really bad towards the end. Anyway, so I have these experiences with other people, and it occurred to me recently that in 5, 10, 20 years, it's very possible that I would be very forgetful. So this video is directed at forgetful Doug. The Doug of the future, if this happens to me, which I don't want it to, then you're welcome to listen, but I'm really speaking to Doug. Hey Doug, old boy, I hope you're feeling fine today. Right now, you're listening to a younger version of you, and you might have forgotten a few things, so I'm going to remind you. You had an amazing life. Oh my gosh, you did. You had a blast. Yeah, in the pursuit of that blast, there was a whole bunch of shit that went down. But the bottom line is, you emerged triumphant, my friend. You did a lot of good things. You spread a lot of joy. Primarily through your YouTube channel. You might remember that many, many years ago you started on YouTube as kind of like a legacy, because you weren't seeing your grandkids and they were growing up without you, and you knew that someday you would want to know what was Grandpa like, because you did. Your grandfather held you in his arms right after you were born, and then he died. He died young, and he died of lung cancer. But that wonderful bond between you and him was just spiritual back then, and is now. You share his middle name, Charlie. And so you wanted a bond with your grandkids, and you saw as the time went by that it wasn't happening, but it could happen, and that's by making videos. Just you kept your channel grandkid friendly, even though at that point YouTube was the Wild West, and you might have gotten more views by being as colorful as you are, but you didn't, because you knew someday some of the grandkids would say, what was Grandpa like? And then they'll get on and they'll find your videos, and they'll see who you were, and that's good, because you're a happy person. You went through this difficult world with tons of difficulty and tons of joy anyway, and that is a huge positive about you, Doug, my good friend. I like to sit here by the road. We're at a car park, or carpoolers park, and we're looking at the highway. This is taken in 2019 in the wintertime. I'm watching the cars pass, and I like to do that because you may not remember, but you took a bunch of awesome trips, and you also spent a lot of time on the road when you had your business. You had a business that made covers for robots, when the robots were just coming into their being in automotive factories. And so I'm sure they're utilized a lot more lately because it's so efficient, but it caused a lot of turmoil in our economy. So you lived through a lot of turmoil in our economy, and it was tough. It was tough sometimes. You did your best. Sometimes you did really good. So life was really good to you. You got to see so much of this beautiful world, and you got to do really wonderful things You were an inventor. You were a creator. You were an artist in many ways. You loved your fellow man. You were not a bigot. You were a good guy, and you still would be yourself. And that was wonderful, because you were quite an individualist. You recognized you needed privacy, and you took it, and then you recognized when you needed to be around people, and you did that too. You met your own needs in the wise thought that you have nothing to give if you're depressed and sad and weak, and you have tons to give your fellow man if you've got an extra smile or a helping hand or a funny story. And so you went a lot of places, and you met a lot of great people, and had so much fun and so many laughs with so many strangers who became your single-serving friend as you passed through the countryside and passed through this life. And now, evidently, you're nearing the end, or at least you should be if you can't remember who you are. I gotta go reminding you. And so what that means is you can be reminded, but at this stage you probably can't remember things, so you could watch this over and over and see it as new. That's how the memory loss works. But you love to learn, and that was what this life was all about. Okay, let's learn how to get along with our fellow man. Let's learn how to take care of ourselves. Let's learn where the fun is. Let's learn about every aspect of this world that interests me. And there were tons and tons and tons of them. But if you can't remember, you can't learn. It can only be reminded. And let me remind you that it's safe to pass on. It's safe to let go of this world when you're ready. Because another aspect of your triumphant life was your faith. Your faith in the goodness behind creation. Your faith in your inner being who loves you, loves you, loves you. Your faith in God and your fellow man. When there were debates at the dinner table when your kids were young, you used to stress to them, and everyone listening, your faith is between you and God, and then between you and other people. And you've always lived that way, Doug. You closed your eyes, and you stilled your mind, and you found peace, and this relationship between you and God then could become this relationship between you and other people. This peace, this happiness, this assumption of their worth and yours as well. That's where you have something to give. You can give an immediate positive connection without even saying anything to all these people that you encountered as you lived your 70 or 80 or 90 years. All right, buddy, if it's almost 100, it's time to punch out. Death is 100% natural, isn't it? It is. And the body is a maintenance problem. And be honest, your golden years are not the ones you lived from 70 to 90. That's 20 years of being old, my friend. The body aches. And heaven awaits. Excellent work. You made me proud. I love you. I love you, buddy. I do.